babe, can we get a dog?
No.
Why? What if it's like one of the really, really little ones? What if I take full responsibility?
That's not happening.
He's no fun. Okay. Are you my little adjuster?
Alright, lady. See you later.
What's up, everybody? It's Jade. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I wanted to make a video that was a little more personable. As you can see, I'm not really put together today. This is what I wear most days, and I don't really wear a lot of makeup on most days because sometimes it's too much. I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to do this because I've made a lot of videos about Jesus and how important Jesus is. Jesus is the most important person in the world. I believe that the Lord has put me through certain things in life so that I can speak on them and help people who are going through the same thing. Because we live in a fallen world and there are some things that you just can't avoid. They're really out of your control, and because of that, you have to learn to adapt and you have to learn to overcome your circumstances. I wanted to tell you guys how I did that with my parents being divorced. My parents got divorced when I think I was like 7 or 8. My brother was 4 or 5. I just remember that at first my mom, she drew a little diagram. It was like a circle diagram. Like we were all living together and then it had 2 houses and us like having to go different places. You know, at first I was just like, okay, my parents are getting separated, you know? I guess I was upset. I had to go to therapy and like I kind of was just, I guess, too young to really like understand the concept until I was about 11. From 11 to, I'd say 13, 14 was really when I struggled with my parents being divorced. I was in middle school, so I was already, you know, going through all of the normal teenage stuff, puberty, all that stuff. And it really didn't help that my parents were divorced. In this video, I want you guys to take away a couple of things that I did in order to help me keep my sanity, really. That really helped me, you know, stay grounded in who I was despite of what was going on around me. Because, you know, when your parents are divorced, you face a lot of challenges. To all of my people who have divorced parents, you probably know when your parents are divorced, you kind of try to brush it off like, oh, I have 2 different Christmases. I get double the amount of presents. But really, it's not that much fun. My mom, she moved in with my grandma, which I thought was awesome at first because, you know, it was my grandma. My grandma took me to school. I got to see my cousins a lot. It was great. But once I matured and I began to mature, it really started to hit me. So I guess the first point that I want to make from saying all of that is be real with yourself. Don't try and sugarcoat it, because I know that the more you sugarcoat it, the more difficult it's going to be for you to handle. It was really hard for me to handle because at first, like, I wanted to like act like it wasn't a big deal, but I went back and forth all the time. And then eventually my mom moved, and so my dad got full custody because my mom was technically out of state, and it just created a lot of havoc. And I know in a lot of divorce situations, one parent does have a majority of the custody. It gets really messy because sometimes, in my case, both my parents loved me and my brother very much. For my mom not to be able to see us, it was a very difficult situation for her. And for me, especially because I was a girl and I just, you know, there were some things that I could talk about with my mom that I couldn't talk about with my dad. And so learning to be real about what I was struggling with in that aspect really helped me come to terms with what was going on and really make sure that I wasn't, you know, kind of hiding behind a wall the whole time. Which kind of brings me to my second thing I want to talk about is when you have divorced parents, you are the third party in the situation. You see what your mom does, you see what your dad does. Most of the time, whether conscious of it or not, talk bad about each other. I know for me, it was very hard to hear 2 different stories and it got me all kabobbled. Because of that, and I'll mention this a little bit more in another video, but I really had to make my own person because I didn't really fit in this family that I had. That led me down a very dark road because I was living a double life. And I got myself into a lot of trouble. It was really because I didn't feel like I fit in anywhere. Not only did I have to learn to be a third party and just kind of, you know, take in the information and not let it affect me emotionally the way that stuff does affect a person, I had to forgive my parents a lot because they'd say terrible things about one another. Like I said, whether conscious of it or not, they're divorced. They're not in love anymore. And when you're not in love anymore, you have a lot of baggage. You like to talk about it, even though we really shouldn't. It just kind of comes out sometimes. And so I really had to learn to forgive my parents, not only for the things that they said about one another, other, but also, you know, the effect that it had on me. There was a lot that went wrong in my parents' relationship. Thankfully, I had both of them in my life. And like I said, I wasn't aware of this until, you know, I was older. And because of that, they didn't like each other. They didn't like each other. In most instances, divorced parents don't like each other. I guess the second thing that I want to share with you guys is that forgiveness is so powerful because it allows you to not get caught up in the drama. And it also puts you in a place where you can still be you and you don't have to create this other person. You can just be you and love both of your parents, forgiving them for the harm that it causes you to see what they're doing. And the last thing that I want to say going along with that is just really you have to learn to love in a very new, different way, especially for me. And I feel like I could have done such a better job at this looking back. But I had a younger brother. Divorce affected him differently than it affected me. Looking at our relationship now, it's almost like hard for me to say because I love my brother. Gosh, I don't want to cry. Because I love my brother and oh my gosh. I love my brother so much, and I can't help but think if I had acted differently, if I had maybe been a little different, if I had loved a little more, that our relationship would not be as broken as it is. I love my brother. We have, you know, our relationship, we talk to each other and we love each other. I don't have anything against him. He doesn't have anything against me, but there are some things that I can't take back. And because I didn't live in the love of Jesus when I was in the same household as him, it was very hard for me to be a light to him because I was just caught up in my own junk. And so before knowing Jesus, you know, that regret hit me so hard. Now that I know Jesus and I've accepted Jesus, I look at that and I can say, Lord, like you have forgiven me and I know that the things that need to be repaired are going to be repaired. I trust God with that wholeheartedly. But, you know, especially growing up without God in a divorced home is very hard. And all of these things that I'm telling you, really, the love of Jesus had to transform me in order for me to understand these things. If you don't have a relationship with Jesus, pray about it, because a lot of the things that I have realized that really helped me get to where I am today, where I can say that I'm in a marriage that divorce is not an option. I'm never going to ever put my children through that. I'm never going to put my spouse through that. We're going to love each other until death do us part, like we promised each other. That happened because of Jesus. And that happened because I became vulnerable and I became the person that the Lord created me to be. If I had continued to live the way I was living, it would be a totally different story. I guess that's it. I really hope that I was able to give you guys some good pointers, especially if you're in the thicket of it. It can be really hard if your parents are just getting divorced or they've recently been divorced, 2 years or so, or even if they've been divorced forever and you've just kind of held on to the bitterness that it can cause. Really learning to be real with yourself and to forgive and to love and letting that transform you from the inside out helps so much. Now my relationships with my family, I love my family so much. The journey that I've been on with them has made me who I am today. And for that, God knows that I cannot be more thankful for having them in my life. So thank you guys so much for watching this. If you want to hear more, please leave questions, comments below. Let me know if you liked this, if you want me to make more videos like this. Follow me on Instagram. My username is Jade_Carrero. I'm also on Facebook. I'll also be putting this video up on Rumble. So if you have Rumble, check it out on there. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.